Welcome to another fabulous day in the studio. Today I have magpied an idea from the fabulous artist Kandinsky. So using some of your lockdown leftovers, you are going to create your own artwork from your own squares of gorgeousness. The artwork we are going to do today has been inspired by Kandinsky's concentric circles. Now, sure, you've seen this before. It's very, very famous, and it was painted in 1913. It is, in fact, a small study on how different colour combinations work together. So Kandinsky was exploring with ideas of using colour, and he felt that colour could suggest emotion and could tell its own story. So this is just him having a bit of a practice, and as you can see, it's very, very effective. Now we're going to use this lovely idea borrowed from Kandinsky. Instead of using circles, I thought it'd be really lovely if instead we use hearts on our squares. So as you can see, I've been a bit busy with some of these, and I've already started. These are still a bit wet because this one's still poking up a little bit. Using a variety of different materials, so it depends really what is left in school. Now, things like this fabric would be quite good because it's got lots of different colours on it, so you could choose these areas for lovely backgrounds or for some of your hearts. I've sorted my resources into different colour themes, so I've chosen colours that kind of work quite well together. So we've got ribbon, there's an old bag here. This bag's quite good because it's got lovely handles you could chop off. So bits of card, bits of, this is spongy sort of foamy stuff, tissue paper, crepe paper, old buttons. Over here I've got like a pink and purple theme going on. There's even a bit of toilet roll, ribbon again, metallic paper, embossed paper, really what you have lying around. So if you're doing this at school, your teachers would have sorted out some resources for you. So this is a good way to clear out some of the sort of bits that are left behind at the end of the summer term. This is a green and yellow theme. So again, gold paper, metallic stuff, bit of an old sari that was used for something, crepe paper again. Anything goes, newspaper, magazine cuttings, anything really, as long as you can stick it on your hearts. Now, if you're doing this at home, please, please, please ask permission before you cut or use anything. You don't want to upset the adults in your home. Now, I'm using for my background, so finally when I put all this together, what I've done is I've got an old cardboard box and I've simply cut the flaps off of the lid, and this is going to form my sort of my canvas really. And then what I'll do is once all my hearts have dried, I'm then going to put them together and I'm going to create my own special Kandinsky. Okay, so it'll be really interesting to see what you end up with. Now, there is no plan, and one of Kandinsky's quotes was where he tells people to not really plan anything, just go with it. Don't think about your artwork too much, just go with the creative flow and just see what you end up creating. So it'll be really interesting to see what I end up with, which I will show you soon. Okay. Now, to start with, what I've done is I've got all my materials ready. So I've got my glue, scissors, pencil, a ruler, and just my little collections of materials that I think I'm going to put on each square. So first of all, you will need to make your squares. Now this depends, the size is up to you. I have drawn and measured out squares that are 10 centimetres by 10 centimetres because that's the size I want to work with. You could work with bigger squares if you want to, or slightly smaller ones. Don't make them too small, otherwise it will get a little bit fussy. So once you've got your squares cut out, then you can begin. So what I'm planning to do, I think I'm going to work with this little collection here, and I'm going to cover my first square. So I need my cardboard first of all, and I have decided to put some fabric on the background. So what I'm going to do, instead of cutting that out first, I thought, oh, I'm just going to make it easy for myself. I'm just going to put some glue onto my background piece of cardboard, like that. So spread, try to go up to the edges, just keep turning it round. Don't forget this glue does dry clear, so don't worry about that. Just try to, might need to move some of this glue away from the edge into the middle a little bit. Now all I'm going to do is place my fabric on. Now we don't want that side bit there, so I'm going to be very careful. Place my piece of fabric on, hold it down. I can move it around a little bit, that's okay. And then if I turn it over, I can see I've got that flappy edge. I'm just going to cut it off. So using your scissors, I just found it an easier way of getting the background on. Okay, that's my background done. Now what I did was I made a little template for my heart. So out of a spare piece of card, I just drew a heart shape. Now my heart is not perfect by any means. It doesn't have to be. Sometimes if it is a little bit wonky, it looks even better. So what I will do next is, let's get rid of these buttons because they're in the way. I'm just going to draw around my heart. And then I've got a nice central piece then. So I'm just going to cut this little bit out roughly. That's it. And now I can focus on actually cutting out the heart. Now if it screws up slightly, it's fine. This is only for my central piece. I'm going to stick buttons over it. So this is quite nice. So depending on what you have material wise in school or your house, that will obviously determine what you're going to end up with on your squares, but the idea is you can do things and then if you don't like them you can change them. So if I cut this heart out and then when I stick it on my square I decide that actually I don't like it, I can change it and just do something else in the middle instead. Right, I'm going to go with this heart. So I just need a bit of glue because I'm going to stick it on. So in the middle. Now I don't need loads of glue because this is quite a thin piece of paper. So, but I do need to try to go up to the edges. Okay. Right, I'm going to stick that on so you can see it like that. Now, it gets very sticky. You might need a damp paper towel just to keep wiping your hands on. I've forgotten to do that today. Now what I'm going to do next is I have a collection of buttons, and what I've tried to do is I've tried to sort them into sort of like mainly blue colours. I have added some interesting ones. I found this lovely sparkly one and this silvery one and a glittery one and even a Union Jack one. I really like that. So just choose a selection of really interesting buttons, and again no plan as usual. Just going to put a little bit in the centre and just choose one of my buttons. I might actually put the glittery one in the centre. I love doing this, it's great. And then just a little bit at a time, just dab a bit more glue on. Whoops, I've got rather a lot there. I might need to take some of this off. That's it. Don't need all that glue. I'll have to spread that round a bit. It's a bit much. It does dry clear, don't forget. So this is wonderful. Love using PVA. And then I will just go around. Oh, look, it's got polka dots on. That's even nicer now. Really happy with that one. And just go round, if you're using buttons, stick them anywhere. No plan, fill in the gaps. It will be what it will be. Now you are obviously going to spend a bit more time. With your one. I'm trying to rush mine just so you can see what it looks like. Again, that's another nice one there. They're all a bit different. I really like it. It's lovely. Great way to use up things like this that you might have in your house. I collect buttons. I just think buttons tell a story. If they've come off of a piece of clothing that's belonged to somebody, they kind of have a story to tell. So every button in my button box has been either an interesting buy from a shop where I've seen some lovely buttons, or they've come off of a piece of clothing that's belonged to somebody. That's why I find them so interesting. There you go. Right, it's beginning to look lovely. Let's try and squidge them in. And you can move them around. Once they're on the glue, you can sort of move them to sort of fill the gaps in. It's quite good. You can see. Right, I need a little bit more glue up here. Like that. Let's put that one there, like that one, that's nice. Right, now, obviously, I have rushed this and I've got some more spaces to fill in, which I will do later. So I just wanted to show you that one. So that one I'll just put out of the way and I'll finish it later. Now, one of my other ones I'm going to do is I've got these, I found this, I don't know what it is, but I just found it. Thought that would be interesting. So again, with this one, I'm just going to really quickly glue the background. Now you'll notice that my cardboard's not all the same cardboard, it's all from scrap. This one's come from a box, which I've cut up. It doesn't matter, we're just using things up. None of this has to be perfect in any way, because we're not aiming for perfection. Sometimes it looks better when you don't aim for perfection. So again, I'm going to stick this on and then I'll trim round it. Like that. Smooth it all down. So it's nice and flat now. And then just trim it off. You might want to do all your backgrounds first, that's okay. And then put the details on later. So it doesn't matter what way round you do this. It's up to you. And then give that a quick trim. When you're using scissors, just a little tip, try to make sure that when you're using scissors, they are perfectly upright like that. If you turn slightly to the side and try to cut things that are slightly like that, you don't get the scissors working properly. Your scissors need to be actually upright like that, straight. I find a lot of children have trouble cutting fabrics and papers because they slightly have their scissors tilted to one side or the other. They need to be upright like that, and then you get a much better action from your thumb and your finger, and you've got the sharpness of the blades are upright rather than trying to struggle by cutting from the side. It's a bit wonky. Okay, right, we've got that. Now this that will obviously go in the middle, but I found this as, oh, that's quite nice. So yeah, play around with different ideas. I don't know whether to have that underneath. Oh no, I like it over the top. Right, that's going on next. So as I say, there's no plan. Just play with your materials. investigate them, experiment with them. That's what art is all about. Experiment and play. Right, that's going on in the centre, and then I'll put a heart over it in a minute. Now, I quite liked it when I was playing around with this ribbon, so I could have it like that. I think I've got one going diagonally, or I could have it straight down. I could have a bit like that. Oh, I'm not sure now. No, maybe I'll do the diagonal then. Right. Let's put a little bit of glue on here. Oh, it's a bit curly. Bit of glue all the way down the middle. So, right, that can go on. Again, you might need to wipe your hands. Now I'm not going to trim that until the end. I'm just going to stick it on like that, then get the other bit glued. Dot it on. So, and then glue it that way. Oh yes, I like that now. Right, and then just leave those ends to dry. They're a bit gluey at the minute for my scissors, so that can dry. Now for this central piece, I need my heart. I'm going to draw one on the back of this lovely sparkly paper. So, just a heart shape. Doesn't have to be perfect, like I said before. You can keep drawing. You're not going to see this side, so you can sketch many times as you want on the back. No one's going to see it. That's roughly a heart shape. It's not perfect, but... And then I'm going to cut it out. We'll see what it looks like. If you go a bit wrong, it's fine, because you can always trim it up. Until you think, oh, I've got this bit flat there, but yeah, that looks okay. Look at that, that looks fine. Let's get rid of those bits. Okay, and then that's going to go in the middle like that. So that's my heart design for this one. Now I could stick something in the middle of that to layer it even more. I'm not really sure. What I'll do is I'll put all my squares together, and then if they need any added extras, I can do that at the end when I have a look at the whole thing together. So I'm going to make some decisions right at the end, like that. Okay, so you've got an idea of what you could do on your squares. I've got this one to do. I've got no idea what it's going to look like yet until I actually start to do it. Right, have fun with this. You'll see my end result in a few moments, and it'll be interesting to see what yours look like. Now here are my finished squares. I've selected them, rearranged them into what I think I'm quite happy with now. They are still wet, so I can't really tip it up very much in case all my buttons drop off, but I'm quite pleased with it actually. I think it's really lovely. Okay, now as you'll notice on my card, I've got these edges that I'll need to trim off, so I'll get rid of those bits. I thought it would be really lovely to frame it. It's already on a solid background, so all I need to do now is think about an edge to it. So I've got this bag which I've kept, and I noticed that the inside is black. So I thought, oh, that could be my frame. So I've cut some strips off. These are really rough. They do need edging properly, so I need to use a ruler to make sure I've got lovely straight edges. But I thought, ooh, that would be quite nice to have a black frame around my picture, my lovely masterpiece. It's not a picture, it's a masterpiece. So that would work quite well. But then I thought I could also, if I haven't got any bits of paper that are big enough, there might be some fabric that you could cut into strips. So I've also found this, and I thought, actually, that would be quite nice as well. So have a look around your house or at school, see what you've got, and it just needs to be 4 strips that are long enough to frame your piece of artwork. So as you can see, once it's all framed, it looks lovely. Look at that, it really stands out, doesn't it? Now, what I'm going to do is, before I frame my artwork, obviously I will trim it, but before I do anything like that, it needs to dry, because as you can see, some of these corners are sticking up. I'm going to do this by getting my sketchbook, which is really quite heavy, and I'm just going to lay it on top, because all that PVA glue needs to dry, and that will prevent my corners from sticking up. And I'll need to leave that for quite a while, really, so either overnight or for a whole morning or a whole afternoon. Now, if you're at home doing this, please ask the adults in the house what you could use to just weigh your lovely artwork down, because I don't want you using like someone's beautiful book to do it with and then it ending up with glue stuck on it. So please ask the people in your house, what could you weigh down your artwork with, and then that way you won't get into trouble by using something that could get ruined, because glue could go onto this. It doesn't matter so much because this is my art book, but yeah, be careful with the things that you use at home. Right, I'm going to leave that, and then afterwards I will frame it, and then I will show you my finished piece of art.